Hello, everyone. I'm Jessie, and welcome back to the second installment of my PowerPoint presentations on the Twilight Saga. Today, we'll be focusing on the second film in the franchise, and that is, of course, the Twilight Saga New Moon. Now, I have very strong feelings about this film. So I'm not exactly sure which way this is going to go. I don't know how long this is going to be because, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. But we'll see how long that lasts, all right? I don't know exactly where this is going to go. This is going to be a wild ride for all of us. So buckle your seatbelts, folks. We're taking a drive. All right, so let's get right on into it. We're going to start off by going over what's going to be in this PowerPoint. First, we're going to go over a character analysis. You might recall in my PowerPoint for Twilight that I really gave an introduction to every character, just so we get a feel for my opinions on each character, what each character gives to the story, and I don't think that that's really necessary for this PowerPoint, so we're basically just going to go over the characters that I find most relevant to the story. So yeah, next, after we finish our character analysis, we are going to go over my thoughts on this interesting film. This is going to be where things start to get a little bit wild, I'm assuming. And then, of course, after that, we're going to go over the overall movie rating. Yeah, I think that this is going to be a tough one for all of us to get through. So I guess let's hop right in. First of all, we're going to go over, the big three. Edward, Jacob, Bella. The leading roles in this franchise. Let's just start right off with my girl, Miss Bella Swan, our leading lady, Miss Girl. First of all, I just want to congratulate Bella for branching out of her boring, puny little baby shell that she was in Twilight. All she really did was sit there, be emo, have tiny eyebrows. And that was really where Bella's character ended, really. So I am, of course, proud of her for giving us a little bit of something, a little bit of spice, if you will. But then again, it's really still not much. But hey, at least she's trying. But that doesn't necessarily mean she's cool, though. I still have to take into account that Bella is the most boring woman to ever exist. But in this film, she is living kind of a young, wild, and free lifestyle, which I do respect. I love a good daredevil. And Bella is giving us that energy in this film, which I appreciate. However, a lot of the activities that she partakes in, they're very stupid, very reckless, very idiotic, if you will. But I mainly blame the stupid men that she hangs out with. Of course, Edward kind of threw her into this depressive state, this little spiral that she goes down. And Jacob, we'll get to Jacob in a moment. So I really don't think that Bella's complete stupidity is fully her fault. But, we do have to take her into account. We need to hold her accountable because at the end of the day, she is still making these choices. Also, she's still disrespecting our King, Chief Charlie Swan, which I will not tolerate. You might remember from my first PowerPoint presentation on Twilight that I am in love with Mr. Charlie Swan. I want to be Bella's stepmommy. All right. I will marry Charlie Swan. I will. I don't care that he's a fictional character or whatever. I will marry him. And so, this disrespect towards Charlie is something that I'm not going to tolerate. Any beef you have with Charlie, you have with me. All right? Anyway, because of that, I am going to give her a 6 out of 10, just because I'm proud of her for giving us a little bit of something. She's still doing the bare minimum, but at least it's something. But then again, I do also have to take into account that she was disrespectful to the love of my life. So yeah. Next up, let's talk about Mr. Edward Cullen. Hi, sir. Hi, Mr. Edward. I just want to say that in this film, I think Edward is an absolute idiot. He is, of course, the reason for this entire terrible storyline. Pardon me, but I do need to just go off for a second, because I don't think that New Moon in its entirety needs to exist. I don't think Miss Stephenie Meyer needed to write that book, and I do not think they needed to make it into a movie, just because it really gives nothing to the overall storyline that the Twilight Saga gives us as an audience. All right? The only reason that New Moon exists is to show us the story arc of Jacob Black, and it's a terrible story arc. It makes me hate Jacob. Spoiler alert, I'm so sorry. But yeah, it also introduces us to the Volturi, which I appreciate. I do like them. So yeah, I just think that Edward really giving us this entire storyline, really not necessary, not needed, and I blame him for that. However, I have eyes, all right? I see that Mr. Edward, Mr. Robert Pattinson, Mr. Batman, he is super hot. He's very sexy to me. All right? I have eyes, and listen, I'll call out a sexy man when I see one, and Mr. Edward, I am looking right at you. So for that reason, he will, of course, be getting a 1 out of 10, just because I think that he's terrible in this movie. He really makes the worst decision, and yeah, but he does get a bonus point for being extremely gorgeous. So yes, look at that jaw. Are you joking? Are you joking? Anyway, let's move on to Mr. Jacob Black. Jacob Black. I have a lot to say about this one. I'm very passionate about this one, especially in New Moon. All right. I think that Jacob is literally the biggest idiot of all time. He is super toxic and super possessive over Miss Bella. All right. He has no respect for Bella, and he won't let her make her own choices. He expects Bella to fall in love with him immediately after Edward leaves town, and he won't take no for an answer. All right. Let us remember that Bella is 18 in this movie. Jacob, on the other hand, is 16, literally a child. He's probably going through puberty. He's super hormonal, I bet. And he's a puny little, whiny little baby brat. And I hate Jacob. All he does is run around shirtless and cry. And listen, I wish I could do that, Jacob. I really do. I wish that was the way I lived my life. But I am an active member of society. And that's not how it runs around here. All right, sir? Anyway, he's the worst character in the whole film. I said just writing this out is making me angry, and honestly, just saying this, just talking about Jacob is getting me heated. I hate him. I hate him. I'm not sure if everybody will understand this reference, but in the 1985 film Clue, Madeline Kahn's character says that her husband gave her flames on the side of my face, and that is exactly how I feel about Jacob. I am literally sweating as I'm talking about this because he's getting me physically heated because I hate him. I hate him. So yeah, that's a little fun fact about me. I hate Jacob. He is also starting to look much more llama-like. If you don't understand what I mean about this, just take a good look at him. He looks like a llama. You know, the animal. Llamas, he looks like one. So yeah, I'm gonna give Jacob a -3 out of 10. I probably would have given him a lower score, but there is something I feel like I need to address. When this movie came out, circa 2009, I had literally just turned 9, and I saw this movie in the theater, and let me tell you, I fell in love. Once I saw those washboard abs, something changed inside of me. That did something to me, all right? So much so that I decided to purchase this Barbie of Jacob in this exact scene that you will see to the right. Having this Barbie meant so much to me that I literally saved up all of my money to purchase it. I went to Target on a Wednesday evening and I purchased this Barbie with all coins. I went up to the cash register and I handed the lady working a bag of coins. Not a single dollar in sight. This Barbie meant that much to me. And you know what? I'm embarrassed about it. I understand that I lacked the taste I have today. And you know what that's called? That's called character growth on my part. All right. I am already dealing with this internal battle with myself just to even approve, or what is the proper word? Forgive myself. That's the one. Yep. Forgive myself for at one point in my life having Jacob be my favorite character in the saga. I'm embarrassed, but you know, that's something I just have to overcome. All right. So, going back to his rating, I was going to give him a -4 out of 10, but I did have to give him a point, just for nostalgia, really. So yeah, Jacob will be getting a -3 out of 10. Now let's move on to the Cullens. Now, you might recall that generally, I love the Cullens as a whole. As a family, I live for them. I would like to be a Cullen one day. All right. However, they weren't really an active part of this movie, this storyline, and for that reason, I will be giving them a 7 out of 10. They're here, they're cute, they're fun, but you know, they're not really relevant. So yeah, 7 out of 10 for the Cullens. However, there were a few members of this family that I did want to go over really quickly. Of course, that first one is Miss Alice Cullen herself. Girl, she gives us something new every single time. Look at that hair, the scarf, the fingerless gloves. Miss Alice. She walked into set the day that this was filmed and she said, "All right, everybody, I'm taking over from here. I'm in charge." And I respect that. I appreciate that. She really holds up this entire film and she really saves the day after almost every single character dies. She's the one that saw the vision of Miss Bella jumping off of that cliff. She also was the one to bring Bella to Italy to save Edward. I love you, baby. You're my superhero. Anyway, Alice will be getting an overall rating of 10 out of 10. Like always, I feel like we all saw this coming. Alice is consistently a queen. She consistently gives us queen energy this entire time, and I respect that. 10 out of 10, love her. Now, I also wanted to go over Jasper Hale for a moment. Now, let us remember for a second that Jasper disgusts me. He makes me physically ill. Just looking at him right now makes me anxious. If I saw him on the streets, I would run away. I dislike him, to say the least. However, I do have to give him credit because he gives the best performance in this entire film. The scene that I am talking about is, of course, this one, where he lunges after Bella once she gets that paper cut. He smells the blood, and he just charges at her. Amazing performance. That's all I have to say. Amazing performance. He was robbed of an Oscar with this one. Look at his mouth. I can see every tooth in his mouth right now. Hi, molars. Hi. I see you, baby. His eyebrows. They're basically touching his hairline. He is grasping onto Emmett's back with such force, such power, such passion. He has his leg in the air. He's giving us everything. This is what we call, in the biz, method acting. He's giving it to us. I love that. Of course, this then progresses into a more aggressive form, which we see here. Once again, every tooth is showing. We are introduced to every single tooth in that mouth. It really looks like Emmett and Carlisle were holding him back in real life. I am almost positive that Jackson Rathbone, who plays Jasper, saw Kristen Stewart that day of filming, and he said, yes, this is the girl. This is the girlie that's holding the blood I want. He became a true vampire that day, and I respect it. Now, as I was researching these photos to add to my PowerPoint, I came across this gem. Of course, this little number that we see right here, he says, I want Bella in my belly. This is comedy to me. This right here makes me laugh. This is silly. This is goofy. This is wise. This is well thought out. This is witty. And I love that. So Jasper's overall rating, I'm going to give him a 5 out of 10 because, although I do think that this is probably the best performance of any piece of cinematic history, I still have to take into account that I really hate Jasper. So that's something to think about. 5 out of 10. So that's exciting. I also wanted to go over the Volturi. All right. Now, this group right here, absolutely stunning. I am a major supporter of anyone that gives our 3 main characters any sort of trouble, gives them any sort of stress, any problems that they might be going through. I respect that. And, these are really, in my opinion, the best villains in the entire franchise. Just look at Miss Jane for a moment. This queen, she's like 14? And is the most powerful person on this entire, vampire congress. I love her. Look at the eyeliner. She serves. She gives us something new every time. Miss Thing walks out and she says, yes, that's right. I'm ready to run the business. And I appreciate it. Overall rating for the Volturi, we're going to give them a 10 out of 10. I just love them. I think they're stunning. I'm loving the all black numbers. It's just amazing. It's a vibe. It's beautiful. They're in Italy. They're classy. All right. However, there is just one member that I did want to address separately, and that is, of course, Caius. Hi, sir. Hi, Caius. Everybody say, hello, Caius. Hi, Mr. Sir. I'm in love with Caius. This is yet another man that I'm in love with. Charlie has some trouble coming up his alley, all right, because Caius has come to town. Look at that bleach blonde hair. It's bleach for the gods. He's giving us the smolder, the cheekbone. Not to mention this king was also in another iconic film, Sweeney Todd. He gives us something new every single time. Really, one comment, and that is, of course, wow. That's all I have to say. Wow. Anyway, I just wanted to move on to my thoughts on this film as a whole. Every character really is an idiot. They serve idiot energy and nothing else. Jacob is the perfect example of toxic masculinity. I literally can't stand him. This entire movie, he's just being whiny brat and can't face rejection. At his big age of 16, grow up, sir. Grow up. Edward, on the other hand, also so stupid, but at least he's thinking of what's best for Bella, or at least he thinks he is. I still really don't understand his thought process in that, he can't live without Bella, so he doesn't want to put Bella in danger. So, he goes and lives without Bella. But then when he thinks that Bella has died, and, he actually would be living without Bella, even though he already was living without Bella, he decides to go and kill himself, really, because he can't stand the thought of living without Bella. Make up your mind. Can you live without Bella or can't you? I'm not here for all this baloney. Do something soon, quickly, all right? Also, Bella just goes to a different country without telling her father. She just up and leaves. She just skedaddles. She just grabs her little orange backpack and scoots. Ma'am, not in this household. Not when I'm your stepmother. All right? My feeling for her is hatred. There's no other way to describe this. I just think that she is so mature, and I just hate all the stress she puts Charlie through. And that's just disrespectful, disgusting. Grow up. You're 18. You're a legal adult. Be responsible. Anyway, although this movie makes me more angry than any other film in this entire franchise, and really angrier than just most films in general, I do have to admit that it is very entertaining. And of course, going off of that, I do just want to point out some scenes that I think we should draw our attention towards. The first one being, of course, when Bella gets a paper cut, which, of course, as you might recall, leads into this scene where Jacob lunges at her, yada, 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 iconic, iconic, iconic. But going back to her paper cut. Bella does not get this paper cut on regular paper. No, she gets this paper cut on wrapping paper and ribbon. And it bleeds that much. I have never had a paper cut that, actually bled, let alone that much. Miss Bella, I think you've just created a new world record. All right. I think it's impossible for a paper cut on ribbon and wrapping paper to bleed that much. And for that, I give her credit. That's amazing. Good for you, girlie. Of course, then this paper cut takes place in this scene right here when Bella's at her birthday party at the Collins house. Everybody looks extremely uncomfortable. Everybody's kind of just standing around 6 feet apart. This is definitely a COVID-friendly gathering, I believe. Everybody's keeping their distance, which I appreciate. However, this part of this scene in particular is what really stands out to me, and that is what is going on in this picture. Bella is not looking at the camera, but we know that that is just because she's the weirdest person to ever exist. However, Edward is not even trying to look remotely near the camera. He's not looking at the camera. He's not looking at Bella. He's just looking at the floor, I believe, right to the left of what we see on the camera. I really want to know what he's looking at. This is something that has kept me up at night, wondering what is going on here. What drew his attention away from Bella so much that he couldn't even look at the camera for the picture? This is what I want to know. This is what goes through my mind. This is why I'm making this PowerPoint. All right. That's just something I wanted to throw out there before we move on to our next point, which is, of course, when Edward throws Bella into the table and throws Jasper into the piano. He does this, of course, because Jasper is lunging after Bella when she gets that extreme paper cut. And then, of course, Bella's arm starts bleeding because she broke a vase. And Carlisle, being the doctor that he is, he rushes towards Bella, feels her arm, and then, even though he's in a room of vampires, he raises his bloody hand up to kind of stop them. Like, everybody stay back. His bloody hand in a room full of vampires. For some reason, I couldn't find the actual screenshot from the movie where we do see his bloody hand. I do think it was like added digitally after the movie was fully filmed. So I decided to add it just so you get a feel for what I'm talking about. But I just want to know what's going on here. The way he raises his hand is so unnatural. It makes no sense why he would do it. There's no logical reason, because he's, once again, in a room full of vampires, and he has blood all over his hand and decides to show the audience. Yes, in fact, I do have blood on my hands. Yes, that is this mysterious red liquid. It is blood. All right, fellow vampires, that's what's going on. And so this scene has always really just stood out to me. I remember watching this film in theaters for the very first time and wondering why on earth he would do that motion. So of course I looked into it a little bit, and I found this lovely photo of the director of New Moon showing exactly what he wants Carlisle to do with his hand. So this was a thought out choice. This was the director's choice. This choreography for Carlisle's motions, it was deliberate. They planned this. And I think, in the best way possible, I think that this kind of explains perfectly the energy that the entire Twilight Saga gives us as the audience. So that's just something I wanted to point out really quickly. I just thought it was funny. And so I guess we'll move on to our next point. And this is when Carlisle dresses Bella's wounds after she cuts herself on the face. Of course, because Carlisle is a doctor. Mr. King. Dr. King. Anyway. This scene has been gaining a lot of popularity within the Twilight fandom. And that is because Carlisle and Bella have more chemistry than Bella and Edward do in the whole rest of the saga combined. What is going on here? Look at this. Look at this. There is chemistry in the room. They are falling in love. She bites her lip. She's ready to boogie. All right. I did also read this fun fact that the actor that plays Carlisle originally auditioned to play Edward because he had so much chemistry with Kristen Stewart, but they thought he was too old for the role. So then he was given the role of Carlisle, which is very interesting to me, because it's official. He does have more chemistry with with Miss Kristen Stewart than Mr. Robert Pattinson, and that is hilarious to me. I don't blame Miss Bella though. Carlisle is a delicious looking man. I'll be the first to admit it, and I will give him that one for free. All right, he is stunning on every level. Ugh, Dr. Cullen. Anyway, I also want to address this scene where Bella goes to see Face Punch with Jacob and Mike. This is just something I'd like to say to the fellas in this photo. Jacob, Mike, you're not being subtle at all. If you want to go anywhere in the dating world, learn to be subtle. Learn to be low-key, nonchalant, all right? It is so obvious that you want Miss Bella to hold your hands. Think a little. Use your big boy brains. Come on. Anyway, I just thought that was funny. And of course, once they see this movie, this leads to Mike throwing up and saying the iconic line, "I need to go home." Honestly, one of my favorite parts of this film. And then, of course, after that, Bella and Jacob are talking about how Bella really just sees Jacob as a friend right now. She's still getting over Edward. And, of course, this sends Jacob into a fit of rage because he can't stand the idea of being rejected at the big age of 16, literally still in high school, like a freaking sophomore in high school, still a freaking underclassman. And he can't stand the idea of a girl just wanting to be friends with him. That's disgusting. And of course, this little fight that they get into, this little, what's it called? Yeah, like a little quarrel. This, of course, sends Jacob into turning into a werewolf. Let's think about that for a moment. The rejection of a mediocre girl who doesn't know how to dress herself, doesn't know how to pluck her eyebrows correctly, always looks like she has cross eyes. This is what transforms him into a werewolf. This is the trigger for him. Miss Stephanie Meyer, Miss Girl, when you wrote this book, you really screwed him over. That's terrible. That's disgusting to me. Poor Jacob. Ugh, gross. Anyway, the last point I wanted to make was on this iconic scene where, Bella is going through her depressive state. We see the seasons change as the camera pans around her. This scene is very popular in the Twihard community. And really just anybody who has ever seen this film kind of thinks of this scene as a joke. And I'm going to be honest, I get how this could be funny to someone. However, I love this scene. This is honestly top 5 favorite scenes of the entire franchise. All 5 movies. I love this scene. Because Miss Kristen Stewart is giving us her best performance in her entire career, I believe. She's giving us the performance of a lifetime. Go girl. Kristen, you are the queen of just sitting down. And I appreciate that. She gives us more emotion than she does in any other part of any other movie. Go girl, give us nothing. Just sit down, just be there, just vibe. And that's exactly what she does. So therefore, I do just love this scene very, very much. I think it's amazing. I think it's iconic. The scene progression, the way that they tell time, everything about this screams icon. And I love that. So that was really the last point I wanted to make on this interesting film. Now, of course, we're going to move on to my overall rating. This is definitely my least favorite film in the entire franchise. I really don't like it. I don't like that it mainly focuses on Jacob because I really dislike Jacob with every ounce of my being. So overall, I am going to give it a 3 out of 10. Just because, although it is terrible in my eyes, it's still entertaining. I gotta give it that. Listen, a good night to me would be sit down, get all cozy with a cup of cocoa, and watch New Moon. Because it's entertaining. It gives us that entertainment that we need to progress through our lifetime. And I respect it for that reason. But at the end of the day, still not a good movie. So, yeah, that's why it got a 3 out of 10. I hope you all enjoyed this PowerPoint. I hope you had so much fun because I know I did. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, if you agree with what I had to say, if you disagree with what I had to say, go ahead and comment. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Oh my god, my disc is almost full. Anyway, we'll just ignore that for right now. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Continue to kiki with the girls. Love you so much. Mwah!